What's up, fellow Force users? How are we doing? I am Matt. Alongside me is Lauren, aka the Hoppy Mommy, and we are back to continue our Star Wars month. What a ride it has been. We have covered the prequels. We have covered everything that has happened in between episodes 3 and 4, such as the cartoons, Rogue One, Solo. Chris from Geek Peak was on with us. And now today, we are going to have Justin from the Wheel of Horror podcast join us for the original trilogy, probably the one that everybody sticks to most. But first things first, let's get some important things out of the way. If you are just finding us and don't know how to find us again, go to hopsnews.beer, scroll to the bottom. All of our podcasting links are there. Or you can go ahead and search Hops News on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. We have another show. The main show of this network is called Hops News, where we talk about a bunch of beer news and other things and have breweries on. It is a great time. So with that said, go ahead and get yourself some merch as well. hopsgeeknews.threadless.com, or again, go to hopsnews.beer. That's where all of that good stuff is. This portion of the episode is brought to you by Appalachian Mountain Brewery's Mountain Delight Brunch Stout, brewed with donuts, coffee, and cacao nibs. It is introducing a creamy, chocolatey brunch stout, perfect for any time of the day, brewed with donuts, coffee, and cacao nibs for the extra goodness you want in a stout. This brew has a robust cacao coffee nose, a sweet stout body, and a smooth finish. The perfect balance of decadence and drinkability. So Jeremy sent this beer. He is very familiar with that area before he went up to Virginia, and this is a pretty good brewery. However, I must have COVID because I can't smell, and I also don't really get any. I don't actually get much flavor from this beer. So Lauren gave me COVID from Orlando apparently, because this is a 5% to 5 point. Geez, I am all over the map. 5.2% beer, but I can't smell or taste it. Like I put my nose like in there.
I had that one like 2 weeks ago, and I thought it smelled and tasted pretty good. I had that one when I was recording a Dexter episode with Chris from Geek Peak, because Dexter brings everybody donuts.
I literally have no taste in this beer. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it might just be me. Who knows? But what are you drinking?
Maybe the beer you had before killed your taste buds.
Sometimes
that happens.
Yeah, that's true. We're recording after we've recorded with Justin, so you'll see what kind of beer I had for that one. So maybe I just set the bar too high. I don't know.
So I'm drinking a yummy double dry hopped oat cream IPA brewed with Simcoe, Huell Melon, Hallertau Blanc, and Mosaic hops from Woodland Empire in Boise, Idaho. This is one you sent me. We love Woodland Empire. We love Robin Keeley at Woodland Empire. And this is a great beer. It's nice and smooth. I think it's that cream. And it smells like a little bit sweet. Not overly sweet, but
this is a really good one. I had that beer when Rob and I brewed together, actually. And I do have some of their beer to send you, as well as some Texas brews that I owe you. So yeah, that's a really good beer. I like that one a lot. And shout out to Rob and Keeley, two just amazing human beings, as always. I love those guys so much over there. With that said, what have you been reading or watching lately? We haven't done this segment in a couple of weeks.
You cut out for a second. What'd you ask?
What have you been reading or watching? We haven't done this segment in a couple of weeks. So what are some things? What are you reading? What are you watching? What's the hot gossip? Give me the 411. I'm a cool mom.
You literally just froze and got quiet. And then you looked at me and I was like, shit, what? Okay. So last episode that we did talk about this, I had mentioned Lucifer. I gave up on Lucifer. I got bored. If anybody thinks, I know Carrie watches it. If anybody thinks I really should give it another chance, let me know. But did she love it? Because sometimes I'll finish something and I'll be like, nah, it's all right. But so I got bored with it, and I've decided instead I was going to finish season 1 of Superman and Lois. Superman and Lois is on the CW, but it's great. They're doing a great job. There is a season 2. I haven't started season 2. I'm going to wait until it's all out on HBO Max and I can, don't have to worry about commercials or anything. And they're doing a really good job about it. And it's not just about Superman. It is genuinely about the whole family. It's not just about the kids. It's not just about Superman. It's not just about Lois. It is about the whole family. And I'm loving the work-life balance. I'm loving that, like, they're
Superman
dealing
has
with
a
issues.
Work-life balance?
He's trying just like the rest of us.
It's
but like
called
Lois
harmony.
even makes a comment. She's like, you know, I knew when we told the kids who you were, this is a smidge spoiler to the very beginning, like it would be hard, but I didn't realize we'd be, because you know, in every superhero show, they're endangering everybody.
Of course.
And so like, but the parents are genuinely struggling with that and struggling with like the life that they're leading and the life that they're in and raising the kids, because these kids are still in high school and like they still treat them like kids, which is nice to see, because in a lot of TV shows, they don't treat teenagers like they're kids. They treat them like adults and they're not fucking adults.
That's true.
But high recommendation for Superman and Lois. I also got into The Flight Attendant, which is... yeah, I really liked the first season. The second season is halfway through, and I almost feel like they're just trying to recreate how good the second season was, and they haven't figured out how to do that yet, but maybe there's still a mystery coming. I'm not sure.
Well,
but season 1 was good.
I've heard good things. So Sean was actually telling me to watch that one, and he actually got to see season 2 a little earlier, or whatever season they're on right now, because HBO press all that. So maybe I'll go ahead and hop on that train at some point. Who knows? I have a million things. I have to catch up on a couple things. So maybe I don't know. We'll see. I'll eventually get there.
But before we go into the 2 that I know we both have watched, I also trying to catch up on my comic book stack, Noctera. I know if a few people have been reading that one. If you haven't heard Noctera, it's a great comic. It's an apocalyptical comic. Basically, the sun disappears and the world goes dark. But it's been really good. I think they're up to about issue 9 now, maybe issue 10. And so I caught up on some of those issues this weekend. And that's a comic book I definitely recommend.
Awesome.
And then Moon Knight and Doctor Strange.
Yes. We haven't covered Moon Knight, the finale, have we?
We haven't.
You know what? Rob from Woodland wants to come on and talk Moon Knight, so we're going to save the talk. We're going to save the talk because we might be having a special guest from the TV show on with us, and she hasn't confirmed the exact time and everything, but we might be having somebody on. And then also Rob was like, dude, have you watched Moon Knight? And I was like, yeah. He goes, if you do an episode on that, I want to come on and talk about it. So I think because I love my homie so much, and Woodland is basically an unofficial sponsor of this series, the show, the Hops Geek News, of course, we'll probably save that. But 2 episodes behind on Winning Time. I need to finish that because season 1 just wrapped up. They are going to have a season 2. And so I need to watch that.
We did start that.
It's so good. My Chemical Romance is back. Everybody rejoice. My Chem released a new song today. I listened to it. It's great. They released an updated picture of the band. We're great. We're moving along. Everything is coming up Millhouse over here for the emos, such as myself. That's not really news. That's just something I've listened to. And then I've been playing Horizon Forbidden West, and that's a continuation from Horizon Zero Dawn. Really great video game. I cannot recommend this enough. And I've been reading Star Wars Brotherhood by author Mike Chen. It just came out this week, and it picks up right after episode 2. And you really start to dive into the relationship of Anakin and Obi-Wan in this book. And I think it's great because so far I'm only about 75 pages in out of 300 and change. And it's basically about the Clone Wars have begun. Anakin literally just became a Jedi Knight, and now Obi-Wan has to go and do some mission basically on a planet. And so you kind of get
planet.
It's I can't pronounce it. It's the home planet for Viceroy Gunray and crew. Like, it gets attacked and whatnot, and they're blaming the Republic. So they're sending Obi-Wan there to do some sort of researching, like, hey, the Republic didn't do this. And so you start to dive into like Padme and Anakin's relationship, some things like that you kind of start to see. I'm not going to spoil anything other than the fact that you start to see like Obi-Wan notice their relationship, Anakin and Padme's. And so it's really good so far. Haven't finished it, but can't recommend that enough because what I've read so far, I'm hooked. And then of course I've watched Moon Knight, and of course we watched the Multiverse of Madness.
What?
Which let's run through it real quick. So now we're going to give some spoilers. 3, 2, 1. We're not going to dive into it too heavy, just yet, but what are some of your quick initial thoughts about this movie?
It was scary. There was one scene I literally like jump scared.
Yeah, there was a
Wanda
couple.
very
She pops up in
creepy.
the puddle.
Oh my God, so many of them. Yeah, and then the one when she climbs out of the mirror straight out of the ring.
Oh, yeah, that was creepy.
I mean, honestly, the worst scene though was Professor X. But that one scene, it was like, holy shit, they're giving us these things and then they just rip them away one by one.
Did not expect the brutality of the deaths that we saw, the Illuminati face, like Black Bolt. First of all, my theater popped when John Reed showed up.
Oh my
John,
gosh.
John
Krasinski.
Yeah, that's what I meant. John Krasinski.
I like that you combined Richard Reed and John Krasinski.
What am I doing out here? John Reed, that's a real person that I knew in real life. I don't know what the hell I'm doing out here.
Oh.
And then my theater was dead silent when Professor Xavier rolls up to the X-Men 97 theme song in his yellow chair.
What?
Everybody was dead silent. And I'm just like, are you guys serious? You just screamed for Krasinski and, Reed showing up. And then you're dead silent for Patrick Stewart. Like, what is going on here? But whatever. It was really cute. I had an old couple next to us, and the guy was like explaining who everybody was to his wife. And I was like, this is badass right now. Like, I love every second of this right here. It was super cute. And something that I want to point out. So when Wanda's kids are fighting initially, they mention how the 2003 Detroit Tigers are the best team of all time. Well, in our universe, real life, the 2003 Detroit Tigers are one of the most historically bad teams of all time. So I thought that was like a fun little Easter egg because Sam Raimi is from Michigan. So him being from Michigan, he probably threw that in because for all we know, he's a Detroit Tigers fan. And so it was pretty hilarious just being like, the Detroit Tigers, the best team of all time, when in reality, they're one of the most historically bad teams of all time. So that was really good. And then, of course, Pizza Papa.
That's hilarious. Which one did you say?
Pizza Papa.
Pizza Papa.
Yeah. Bruce Campbell made his appearance as well. So,
yeah. But yeah, the one that didn't get love in my theater, though, was Captain Marvel. And I think a lot of people didn't realize who it was. And I didn't even put it together right away that it was Monica Rambeau's mom or Maria Rambeau. So that was pretty cool.
Good night. One of the things that I was extremely surprised about in this movie was how fast it was paced, but it breathed. Like the movie kicks off right in the action and then it, kind of slows down. We actually get to see Stephen Strange kind of living his life. And the overarching theme of this one is finding happiness, which is very interesting, finding happiness within yourself and things like that. But it was very fast paced for a 2-hour movie. A lot happens, but they don't overdo it in my opinion. And at the same time, it was very much a Wanda and Steven story in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are saying, I want to see more with Wanda with the Darkhold, and I completely get that. And I think that we will get more of that in the future because I don't think Wanda's dead by any means. I think she's very much still alive. No, you saw a
red flash as it collapsed, and so there's no way she's dead. And there was a little nod to I forget the character's name. It starts with a C. I apologize. When she goes to that with Wong, she was like, this was made olden days by so-and-so from the Darkhold who created the Darkhold. I feel like now that she's destroyed the Darkhold and all of that, that's going to come to a head and she's going to have her own solo film about, battling the dark dimension.
She destroyed Darkhold. All the Darkholds.
Yes. I feel like she's going to have her own film, maybe with Agatha, dealing with that ramification because there's no way she's dead. I think now that she's gone through her villain phase, we're going to start to get her redemption storyline, her coming to terms with everything. And we also have an unresolved storyline of her and White Vision. So
yes. Yeah. There wasn't even a mention of him. I would love to know if the Wanda that Professor X saw was the daughter of his best friend / worst enemy.
Yeah. I'm very curious to that as well.
Well, and when Wanda was first, introduced in the comics too, she was very naive. She was repaying Magneto and she wanted to join the X-Men. and all of that. So I would love to see more of that. I can't even believe that they crossed these lines. And
I mean,
what does it mean though? It's like such a tease, because it's like, okay, you gave us this. Does this mean that is in humans canon now? Are you going to bring them back in a different form? Clearly they're dead on this universe. And I loved when they said Earth 616. I love that. And I know a lot of people are saying,
out for us pretty well.
Right. But some people are saying, no, they've called us a different Earth and a different whatever. But no, we are 616. We knew that.
Earth 616. Christine even says it.
Right.
Like, you are Earth 616. Right. We are 838. Like, it didn't just the fact that we saw Wanda killing Professor Xavier, like and it's something when she was doing her Age of Ultron press tour, she was like, I want to do a House of M storyline. And so to see her kind of get that storyline was pretty rad. But she also said she didn't think they'd ever do it. Exactly. And right now she's like one of the most popular, like people are all about it. And so the sky's the limit. There's no way she's dead. And I want to give a special shout out to Strange and Mordo's hand-to-hand fight at the Illuminati. That was a pretty cool fight scene.
Yeah, what's going on with him on Earth 616 though? That was an unresolved storyline.
So I got a feeling that that's going to come to play in the next Doctor Strange film, because, he gets his third eye. He was in a lot of pain with his third eye, and all of a sudden he was just cool with it. And him and Clea. So Clea shows up and there's a bunch of incursions. They're going to go solve incursions.
And she's been his wife in the comics.
Exactly. So I wonder if they're going to start having a thing and whatnot. And then I feel like Mordo might come back to play, and maybe he chases them through different multiverses and things like that in like the dark dimension or whatever they're at. And maybe he's doing some things that's going to have them come back to a head once and for all.
All right, I could keep talking about this forever.
Yeah,
should we roll into some news?
No, so we'll go ahead. We'll dive into some news. Let us know what you thought about the film. We'll talk more about it at a different time too. Give it a proper review. I did jump on the in Latino Nerd Order podcast with a bunch of other podcasts as well, Shauna included, and maybe once that comes out, we'll make sure to tag that so you guys can kind of see some more of my thoughts there, and then maybe we'll do an Instagram live and talk about the movie at that point. So we'll see. As far as news, though, I only have a few things. Justin Lin has left Fast and Furious X due to Vin Diesel being hard to work with. And if everybody saw that video on Twitter that was posted, well, apparently not, because Justin Lin in that video looked like he was being held hostage. And it was like painful to watch. So I'm not surprised. Vin Diesel has been notoriously hard to work with. His beef with The Rock during the other Fast and Furious films. So no surprise there. Quantumania, we might have talked about this, but this film now arrives on February 17th of 2023, and The Marvels has been moved to July 28th, 2023. A little bit of a swapping, which for me, I'm fine with, because I am way more excited for Kang to return. Shout out to Sean once more.
Oh, that's right.
The Kang train's coming. Kang train, we're going to make it a thing. So Kang is coming back, Quantumania, and, I'm excited for that movie because I love Ant-Man. So for them to swap.
Are we getting Loki 2 before that?
Loki 2 actually starts to film June 6th. So we might be filming starts for Loki 2 on June 6th. So more to come there. We probably might be getting that before Quantumania. I don't know. So after that,
right.
J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot will produce Hot Wheels, because we just love making movies out of properties such as this that we don't actually need. And then Hayden Panettiere, it will be starring in Scream 6. She was in Scream 4, if you remember. She is coming back. She will be in the next Scream installment, along with a majority of the cast who were in Scream 5. They all announced that they are all coming back. And then last but not least, the great Norm Macdonald has shot a secret stand-up film that is going to be an hour-long, stand-up special, I should say, that will be an hour long, and it's going to premiere on Netflix May 30th. And you'll be able to find that on Netflix. It's an hour long. He passed away not long ago, so it's going to be pretty cool getting to see like his last stand-up, because Norm Macdonald was great. I loved everything he was in, so I'm a big fan of his. So it'd be nice to get to see one last stand-up special from him. But what do you got?
He would just stare at people and it would be funny. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah. He was just a different breed. He's one of those old school comedians, one of those really classy old school guys. And that's what I really loved about him.
We've lost a lot of classics the last year.
At young ages, too.
So this news is pretty big. The 14th
Yes.
Doctor has been cast. Nakuti Gatwa. I do not know him at all, but everybody seems very stoked.
He actually, fun story about his upbringing. So his family escaped Rwanda in 1994 when the Rwandan genocide was going on. He was only 2, but they escaped to Scotland. So they were very fortunate. And now he's going to be the next Doctor. This is amazing. Like, I know they just randomly hit us over the weekend with a post being like, here's your next Doctor. And so it's super cool that like he's getting, well, I think they filmed it earlier. There was something with the BBC going on. So like they didn't want it to leak, or it was going to come out anyways. But it's really cool seeing somebody with, the life that they've had. Now he's going to get to play one of the most iconic roles in pop culture. And I love it. Yeah. I'm personally so on board with this. I know there's people out there on the internet that want to spew hatred, all that. Man, cancel out the noise. I am on the train. I will be there the day it premieres.
So far, I've only seen praise. I heard a lot of hatred for Jodie Whittaker, which I still think she's done a fantastic job. I mean, the
she didn't get a lot to work with. To be fair, she was kind of hamstrung, and so I thought she did great as well.
Yeah, you just like see her like regurgitate her lines, and like she's such a great Doctor. She has the energy of the Doctor. She spouts out the crap like the Doctor. Hold on, I have an idea. Like, I thought she's freaking fantastic.
Agreed.
I think a lot of the hate was sexism.
Sadly, yeah.
I haven't seen any hate for him. He is a black man. I will say that. And that's going to be very interesting, just like it was with Jodie, where like she went back in the past and they started accusing her of a witch. And she's like, oh, I'm not used to this, because she's used to being a white man that she remembers. If you've been watching Doctor Who, there's more to that now. But this will be interesting. And one of his new recent companions, or her new recent companions, is a normal middle-aged looking white dude. So everybody's going to think he's the Doctor. And so that
I'm
shall
very
be
interested. And I didn't even think about that, like the possible storylines that you're going to be able to get with him. And it's sad, but at the same time, I think they're going to do such a great job, like explaining history and doing that from different points of views.
Yeah. We got a little bit of that with Martha and Billy, but it was, this is your assistant, or, something like that. Like, because was it, I can't remember exactly, but when David Tennant was with Martha, they went back for a while in the 1700s or 1600s.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
I don't know. There's so much on Doctor Who. We've done a Christmas episode, but I feel like that deserves maybe when the next season starts up.
Whole Doctor Who month, because there's just so many.
You do a month on each Doctor.
Exactly.
Okay, so that 90s show will see the return of their main characters. Probably not Hyde, as he has been charged with rape. I don't think he's been convicted, but I don't know. But I love that 70s show. I'm excited to see these characters come back. CW Batwoman has been canceled after 3 seasons. The Haunted Mansion movie will be in theaters on March 10th, 2023. I feel like this is a missed opportunity to come out of Halloween. Guardians of the Galaxy holiday movie was seen filming in front of the Chinese movie theater in LA, and there will be a fun little Easter egg in that because somebody spotted, and I saw the picture. There's a movie picture of Kingo, which is from Eternals, and that's it. Because remember, he's a famous Bali movie star.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel Studios has recently done a retreat with Kevin Feige where they were to discuss the next 10 years of MCU. Can't wait to hear what they came up with. The new Supernatural show, The Winchesters, has wrapped filming. It's most likely just their pilot. They were very vague in saying they were wrapping filming, and some people were posting articles that the season wrapped. I think it was just a pilot.
I just want to interrupt you to say that Carrie is watching Dawson's Creek, and Jensen Ackles has been making quite the appearances in that show.
I have not watched Dawson's Creek since I was little, and I know he's in it, and I've never gone back and watched the scenes because I don't remember him being in it at all. But I do know, he is in it. But yeah, they've been filming in New Orleans, and the picture they posted was very spooky, and they're in a graveyard and stuff. But he's also Jensen Ackles is also in Smallville. Oh yeah. The Batman 2 has officially been announced. Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel is in the works, and a petition has been filed to remove circulating to remove Amber Heard from Aquaman 2. happened. Misha Collins tweeted out a picture today of him as Two-Face
I saw that,
for Gotham
actually.
Knights.
I did see that.
I love it. He's wearing a black trench coat, not his typical Castiel trench coat. And that's
Did
all
you
I got.
see that CW pretty much canceled like all of their TV shows, like Naomi and Charmed and 4400 and all these TV shows?
Charmed
you didn't
and
know
4400 are those shows that are still on?
Yeah, Charmed was apparently they're canceled after season 4. So apparently Charmed had been, there's a reboot going on with Charmed, and that's canceled.
4400 though, that can't.
I don't know what
been gone for a while.
Is. No, it was there. So pretty much the way
maybe I'm thinking of something else.
You're thinking of the 100 Club, probably.
Isn't the 4400 the one where they all come back but they're like the same age they were when they were abducted?
What the 4400 is, to be honest with you, it's CW.
I thought I watched it, maybe I didn't.
Everything but pretty much Flash has been canceled, and Gotham Knights has gotten a nice season order over there, which nobody has asked for. Bruce is gone. His adoptive son's been accused of murder. Nobody asked for this stupid ass TV show. They're making up characters.
Are you making fun of Gotham Knights?
No, I am. Like, I don't care that Misha Collins is in it. The show's going to suck.
4400 they did so the 4400 was a show on CBS that I watched, but I guess they did remake it on CW, and it's been canceled after just one season. It was a reboot. Why would you reboot a show that's not even that fucking old?
Look, I don't know. CW just out here trying to do CW things, I guess, but half of them all have been kicked out. They axed
Legacies, Dynasty, Charmed, Naomi, In the Dark, Roswell, and New Mexico. And then they also canceled
Roswell was back. That's another remake.
They also canceled Batwoman and Legends of Tomorrow.
CW just needs to end it. End the experiment. Be done. Move on.
Just make only supernatural shows.
No, don't even do that. They just got bought out by like some CBS company, so that's probably why they're canceling everything.
No, who knows?
Who knows? Anyways, folks, let's go ahead and let's discuss some of the original trilogy. It has been a lot of fun. We are going to chat with Justin from the Wheel of Horror podcast and talk about the original Star Wars trilogy. Buckle up. Get in there, you scruffy nerf herders, and let's go to a galaxy far, far away.
You cannot hide forever, Luke.
I will not fight you.
Give yourself to the dark side. It is the only way you can save your friends. Yes, your thoughts betray you. Your feelings for them are strong, especially for sister. So, you have a twin sister. Your feelings have now betrayed her too. Obi-Wan was wise to hide her from me. Now his failure is complete. If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will.
Welcome back, everybody. As mentioned, we had a fantastic guest. Justin from the Wheel of Horror podcast is with us, and we are going to be talking about the original trilogy of Star Wars as our Star Wars month goes on. Once more, I'm actively actually dreading, because after this week, this means I have to watch the sequel movies again. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'd probably rather get waterboarded at this point than have to rewatch at least The Rise of Skywalker. But we're going to cross that bridge when we get there next week. However, this portion of the episode is brought to you by, are you ready? Pliny the Elder from Russian River Brewing Company. If anybody out there knows beer, whether you do or you don't, you might have heard the word Pliny thrown around a little bit. And once, as a little refresher, we have drank it on the show before, but Pliny the Elder was a Roman naturalist, scholar, historian, and author. In his writing, he refers to lupus salictoris, meaning wolf among scrubs. And that's what Darth Vader pretty much was. Anyways, likely an early reference to hop vines growing wild among willows. And it's from Russian River Brewing Company out of Santa Rosa and Windsor, California. This came from Tracy. Shout out, Tracy. Love you always for sending the good stuff. And this was my last bottle, and I figured it was a good time to have it. Lauren, what are you drinking?
So, I mean, it's hard to top Pliny the Elder, but I do have a very on-point beer. So I had mentioned this one on the last episode when we were talking about Rebels, and this actually got mentioned. Twilight of the Apprentice is the episode in Rebels where Ahsoka and Vader go toe-to-toe, and it was brewed by Rockpit Brewing. I'll show you guys. You can actually see the Jedi Temple or the Sith Temple or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah. That's the Sith Temple. You're learning.
So
we're getting there.
I'm working on it. It's a peanut butter whiskey stout.
Whoa.
So it's a golden stout aged with peanut butter whiskey soaked oak chips, vanilla, and cocoa nibs. And this was actually brewed, I've mentioned her a few times on here, at Geeks and Beer. If you like any of our social media, you should definitely follow her Instagram account. And this is the second beer she's brewed with Rock Pit. The first one was called Wibbly Wobbly, and it had a TARDIS on it. Hold up. Jamal from at the Hop Circles brewed it with them as well. I think you met both of them actually the day we were at GB
That's
Bottle
why
Shop
I'm like, hold on. She knows the kind of podcast that we do here and the kind of Star Wars fans we are, and she didn't be like, give us a heads up and set one aside at all. Like, hold up.
She told me about it at her bottle share. She had mentioned it, and then I was there for Star Wars trivia the night before. Why they didn't release it the night before is beyond me. Now, I was planning on stopping at Rock Pit Wednesday night after I was at Hollywood Studios, and then we were at Hollywood Studios way too late. And then I
Rock
just
Pit,
ran out of time.
Don't you know who we are? Don't
But
you know
Rock
what
Pit,
kind of podcast this is?
Rock Pit should have released it during trivia, but I mean, I feel like it probably would have sold out right then because it was Star Wars trivia the night before.
I mean,
but it went a lot quicker than they expected but then when I was there I had to get this from a friend. I didn't even get a 4-pack. I had to get this one from a friend.
Ridiculous.
But then they also released the Rule of 2. So I do have a crowler of that for you to send, but it doesn't have the sweet can art with the Sith Temple.
All right. But like, seriously though, we have like 8 listeners. Okay. People, they should have gotten us these beers. This is a little disrespectful. I can't believe this right now. Unreal.
Casey might have more, actually. I could, and so Jamal might as well.
I'm
getting a lot of peanut butter. I'm not really getting anything else yet. So I'm guessing as it warms up,
like
I'll probably get more of like the
whiskey.
whiskey flavor, but I don't really get any vanilla or cocoa. Do you say cocoa or cocoa nibs?
I don't know. I kind of go back and forth because I'm illiterate.
It's just a lot of peanut butter, maybe a hint of vanilla, but
I mess
check
with
back in
peanut
a
butter.
half an hour.
It's
I feel like I don't have it in the proper
That's
glassware
fair.
though,
And
because
it's probably too cold.
yeah, I'll hold it tight.
Justin, what's up, man? How you doing? Welcome to the show for the first time. We had been trying to kind of get you on. Schedules didn't align. I was in Texas for a while. My internet sucked. And go ahead. Pimp your podcast. Tell us what it's about. And welcome to the party, pal.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. So, Justin from Wheel of Horror. For Twitter is at Horror Wheel, wheelofhorrorpodcast.com, or Instagram is Wheel of Horror. And for those that don't know, every Monday is a horror movie that's randomly chosen by a spinning wheel. And every Friday is the newest film, whether it's in theaters or streaming, that we talk about. And that's pretty much the gist.
Man, I'm pretty jealous. You guys actually do churn out the bangers too. I've listened to all the episodes. I pretty much keep up weekly. I really enjoy. You guys kill the reviews. As a big horror fan, you guys do a great job. And how do you find time to watch them all as they come out? Like, I'm jealous from that alone.
Well, that's a good question. I either watch them. I work at home, so I either watch them while I'm working. Because let's be real, people who work at home, we're not working that hard.
No, you check emails like twice, and then the rest of the time you're messing around everywhere else.
Yeah, or I get done at 4:30 and I just watch it after. Someone's got to do it. It's not easy, but
listen, this is a hard job. You live a very hard life. And
I did listen to your last episode though with Geek Peek about the prequels, and the Clone Wars and the Rebels. That was good.
Hey, thanks. We try. This is one thing Lauren knows, that I'm Star Wars. That's my baby. I'm so passionate. And it's good that other people out there, I know we've interacted, we've talked a little bit, especially about the sequels on Twitter. It's just like, oh God, when we get there. But yeah, no, I'm glad it finally worked out and we were able to get there and get you on this episode and talk about the original trilogy. Something, at least there's going to be like some happiness in this episode. You probably missed a good one. Next week, there's going to be a lot of saltiness. Lauren's going to enjoy it. Real quick, the Bruins just scored to go at 4-1. There is a God. Game 7. I'll see you Saturday. But yeah, we're going to start off. We're going to go through each one. A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. I'm going to give you the rundown. We're going to give some fun facts, and we're going to talk about the movies. So without further ado, Star Wars, A New Hope, or Episode 4, as everybody was very confused about back in 1977, was released by director George Lucas, written by George Lucas, and it stars Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher. Luke Skywalker joins forces with a Jedi Knight, a cocky pilot, a Wookiee, and 2 droids to save the galaxy from the Empire's world-destroying battle station, while also attempting to rescue Princess Leia from the mysterious Darth Vader. That is the official IMDb plot. Lauren, why don't you hit us with your fun facts, and let's dive into some things that we like or maybe don't like about this movie, Fuzzball.
All right, you nerf herder. So Luke was originally going to be Luke Starkiller, and Han was going to have green scaly skin. When negotiating for A New Hope, well, this was after American Graffiti came out and George Lucas had proved to be successful, he said he didn't want more money, but wanted the right to make the 2 sequels, as well as a piece of the merchandising. Merchandising wasn't huge then, so this actually worked out quite well for him. Like, this is what he said. He's like, I don't care about a lot of money. I just want the right to make more movies, and I want merchandising. However, before the film came out, only one toy company agreed to sell their toys, and they grossly underestimated how many to make. And that Christmas, they were selling Star Wars boxes with vouchers for kids that they had to fill out, and it said their toys would be delivered by March. The film was originally released as Star Wars without the Episode 4 or the subtitle A New Hope. The 1980 sequel, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, featured the episode number and subtitle in the opening crawl. About a year after Empire was released, Fox and Lucasfilm re-released the original film too, and this time they added Episode 4, A New Hope, to the famous opening title crawl. I feel like if I was in the theater and it said Episode 5, you'd be like, wait, what the hell? Like, I mean... And then you have to wait until like 97 or something.
Right.
The next one. So Kurt Russell actually auditioned for Han. I love seeing these people when they're really young, sitting there trying to, audition for these roles. So Harrison Ford knew Lucas from American Graffiti, but Lucas was adamant that he only wanted new faces. So Ford was brought in to read lines with other actors, and eventually they just gave him the role. I have to stop looking at you guys. I have too many fun facts. I'm losing my place. So they told Carrie Fisher to lose 10 pounds.
What? Well, good thing she was riddled with cocaine for like then on.
Probably why, yeah.
Sorry, you got to lose 10 pounds. What's that, George? What?
Well, she made a joke like they probably wanted it out of here and pointed at her cheeks because she had, she didn't have chubby cheeks, but she had full cheeks.
No,
so
she was hella cute.
All Chewie had to do to get the part was stand up because he's 7'3". He literally just stood up and they're like, we think we found our Chewie.
Peter Mayhew, man, R.I.P., but that dude was a monster.
Yeah. So the first day of filming was the first heavy rainfall in the Sahara in 50 years. They had a ton of other issues and caused the film to be delayed. It was originally set for Christmas 76, but hey, I call that a happy accident because now we have the month of May is just Star Wars.
It's true.
So delays and issues were so bad and the studio was not helping that George Lucas ended up in the hospital with hypertension and exhaustion. R2 is 50% human voice and 50% machine. And there's actually a person in there. I remember when I first watched these, I thought C-3PO and R2 were just straight up computers. There's people
Anthony
in both
Daniels.
of those.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and it's Kenny Baker.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, so Chewie's a lot of different animals, lion, bear, walrus, tiger, you name it, Chewie's making the sounds. When this came out, it was the highest grossing movie ever. I don't think that's too shocking. From what Lucas made on A New Hope, he personally financed Empire to avoid the bullshit of the studio. The sound of a TIE fighter engine is actually an elephant. It was created by combining an elephant bellow and a car driving on wet pavement. And that's what I got for episode 4.
So real quick, before I throw it to Justin here, I just want to say that George Lucas had to go to the hospital for exhaustion and all that. Was that his inspiration for how he killed Padme?
I don't know what his inspiration was for how to kill Padme. I think he's got a little Palpatine in him.
Something, I don't know. But Justin, man, when did you first watch this film? And kind of how do you feel about it? What are some things you like? What are some things you don't like about it?
Dude, I don't remember the exact age, but my mom had the VHS, like the special edition box set. And I was young. I must have been like 8 or something. And I remember watching them and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But I didn't really become like a huge fan until like middle school when like the prequels came out. And then I rewatched the originals and, I got in that whole thing. But I got to tell you, hearing these fun facts like kind of is upsetting because Lucas was so passionate, yet he gave the rights to Disney and Disney just, I'll hear about it on your next episode, but yeah.
Well, you are right. It is interesting diving back into these movies, right? It's like this dude, this was his baby. This was his passion. Sure, he did other films, but he's known for Star Wars. When you think George Lucas, you think Star Wars. And to see that he just sold it off to Disney and kind of was like, all right, you have fun, do whatever it is. And seeing what they did with the movies afterwards, it is like they could have consulted on him maybe out of courtesy, or I don't know.
I feel like he could have worked in the contract. Like, you guys, you can do whatever you want as long as I have the final okay, because I don't think he would have okayed some of the things that they okayed.
No, he had a script for the next 3 movies and he gave them that script. As far as I know, I could be wrong. If somebody out there, if you listen, let us know. But to my knowledge, he had a script worked out that he gave them for the next 3 movies and they completely ignored it anyways.
I heard a rumor, and again, this emphasis on rumor, that J.K. Rowling went to Disney and Disney was like, well, if you give us Harry Potter, we're going to do, like, you don't have any say. So she went to Universal because Universal's like, you can do whatever you want. So it was probably a condition of, look, if you're going to sell, because they already had a contract with Lucasfilms. Like, they were already, Star Tours has been in the parks forever. They were already doing some stuff with them. So I think it was kind of like I would assume it was an all or nothing. Granted, I've never seen the contracts nor have I read any articles about it, but I believe that that's more so how Disney operates. Like, we're going to do what we feel is best for our company. But I will say, well, the sequel trilogies aren't that great. What Disney's doing with these TV shows, I think, is pretty fantastic.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. But still, I don't know. Anyway, I also think it's pretty interesting that people like to hate on Anakin for how whiny he was. When we go to this movie and Luke's literally, I want to go to Tachi Station. So he's like,
it's tough because you watch the originals, right? And then you kind of base the originals off of when you see the prequels next. And like, I haven't seen, some of my notes here is I haven't seen the 4K Ultra HD one ever. This was my first time watching it on Disney Plus in like super high def mode. The last time I saw it was on Blu-ray and it looked way different. And like, I don't know how old Luke is. Is he like 20 in A New Hope?
Yeah.
I think he's like a teenager.
It's just funny to me because like Yoda had no problem training him and Obi-Wan brought him there, yet like
he's 19 years old.
Okay, yeah. And Anakin was like 8 and Yoda was like, no, we can't do it.
Well, no, Yoda did say he was too old. And what was it? Obi-Wan's talking to him from beyond. Like, it's okay.
It's just funny though, because think about how much more like conflicted Luke must have been opposed to like child Anakin, and they still just kind of went along with it.
Yeah. And they both had like good mothers. So it wasn't even like you could say, oh, well, Padme was his mom. Like, no, Anakin had a good mom too.
Well, they did change. Well, to be fair, the last time they trained somebody who's pretty old, he went and killed all the Jedi. So it would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was also the second time in my life that I've ever heard someone say the word entanglement. So first was Jada Pinkett Smith, and then Ben Kenobi said it, and I was like, what? I don't remember that.
She was clearly watching.
Don't they say quantum entanglement?
I don't know. They might.
I think you might be right, but I definitely did not expect Kenobi to say it.
Kenobi's out here just getting in entanglements with Sabine off on Mandalore out there. So
for sure.
The Kama Sutra entanglements.
I will say though, speaking of, how how we watched it, right? We remember watching VHS, all that. So originally it was released on 35 millimeter Dolby stereo, and they went ahead and they changed a lot of things in this movie when they kind of remaster it. So like as Luke, Obi-Wan and the droids approach the cantina, you can kind of hear the cantina music. They kind of added that in. C-3PO's lines such as using the comm link. Oh my, I forgot I turned it off. That's from an alternate take. There's a lot of like just things added in. They have more growls to Chewbacca, different explosions that can be heard when the Tantive 4s hurt, all that. So for like, these are all stupid things that George just went ahead when he remastered these films to re-release on VHS. He didn't need to do, but for some reason felt the need to do.
Actually, I have some of them down here if you want to go into those real quick, because some of them he explained why he did what he did, even though some people don't necessarily agree with him. One of the things he said was once the technology came about that he could make the movie he had tried to make in the late 70s and 80s, he wanted to redo it, and that's kind of why he did. But yeah, they did improve quality. They improved sound and visuals, obviously, and that's good. When you enter Mos Eisley, you see a ton of CGI aliens, and he was like, I want people to know they're on an alien planet right away. But like, you obviously see that when you go into the cantina, like Matt just said. They changed Boba Fett's voice, so it's now the voice that we're familiar with.
I noticed that. Dude, there's so many different versions of these movies. I've seen like 10 different versions, but continue. Yeah.
There's at least like at least three different versions. Because then they redid it, some of it like again. I don't know. So Vader I thought that the Force thing in the end of Return of the Jedi with Anakin, I thought it had just didn't have Anakin, and that it just all of a sudden was Hayden. I didn't realize that the poor actor who played Vader for 5 seconds in the third movie was actually in it originally. Yeah, so they replaced him. But then, Ewan McGregor's not there. It's, I guess, because Anakin died on Mustafar, whereas Vader is the one who died recently. I don't know, whatever. So many stormtroopers were added to make it look more intense. The Sarlacc pit was changed. So at first it was just a hole. Now we actually see the beak of a Sarlacc. Coruscant was added to the end of the celebration scenes of Return of the Jedi, which I get because beforehand Coruscant wasn't in any of the original movies, but it's in the prequels a shit ton. Did you notice the Jabba thing? So there was a scene with Jabba the Hutt that was added with Han. So they took a Jabba the Hutt was originally supposed to be a person, and then obviously they changed that. And so there was a scene where Han is walking around Jabba the Hutt talking to him. It's right when they're in front of the Millennium Falcon before he's going to fly off with Obi-Wan, and he's like, oh, I'm going to get you more money. So he walks around, and they had to CGI in this Jabba creature over the person, and then so Han's supposed to step on his tail. But if you go back and look, it's not done that well because Harrison Ford is just walking around him. He's not actually walking up.
I never noticed that before. That's the one I haven't heard before. That's interesting.
I saw this today. This is not my own personal I didn't notice this on my own. So they added the scene of Luke meeting Biggs, before Biggs dies. In the original one, you just hear about him. And then the Han shot first thing.
Yes. Okay.
So if anybody's heard this, because when I first heard this, I didn't understand what was going on. I actually Googled it a while ago.
It's a hot debate. Like, people get very angry about this debate.
Yeah. So originally Han did shoot first, and then they changed it to where Greedo shot first, and then they changed it to where like they shoot at the same time. So the reason Lucas changed it so that Han doesn't shoot first, and again, I feel this is unnecessary, but was because Han ended up being the hero and he got the princess. And if Han shot first, then he was a bad guy. He wasn't the hero. But we see that Han is not the best guy at the beginning of the movie. And at the end, he has a moment of redemption and becomes a hero.
He's a scoundrel.
So it was okay that Han shot first. Plus, this was a guy coming to, come after him after Jabba the Hutt, whatever. So that's what I got.
Yeah. I actually rewound that scene like 3 times where they were sitting in the cantina. And like, if you put it on slow-mo, it has to only be on the newer versions. But like Han's neck, like it looks computerized. Like his neck literally like moves horizontally from the laser. And I was like, that's definitely not like a human movement.
He's just dancing around like those weird dancers. Everything.
Dancing to the cantina music.
Yeah, right. It is interesting. Speaking of something that's kind of always, there's also like another debate is the lightsaber battles. Really, we only get the one, right? We get Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader very briefly, but they're very different lightsaber styles. They're heavy because all the lightsabers they had to use were very heavy versus the style that we see in the prequels where lightsabers weigh the weight of a feather and they're just throwing them around and everything. Which one do you guys actually prefer? How do you prefer the lightsaber battles? Like more clunky and old school or the faster CGI fest we get?
I like faster CGI fest.
Yeah, I mean, faster. The fight between Obi-Wan and Vader was like super slow. It felt like you were watching a medieval night movie, and
A couple geriatrics going at it.
They were fencing.
But then in Return of the Jedi, like they were going hard at it, Luke and Vader. So I think it was so early on, and they didn't really know. It was just like slow as shit.
Right.
They were also limited by the technology.
That's true.
So yeah, I mean, even from the VHSs that we all watched in the 90s versus now, the lightsaber quality that's one of the things they did improve.
That's true.
The Heat one, woohoo!
Yeah, Bruin's about to win too. Yay. Lauren, question. So since you were born at the release of this movie,
fuck off.
You didn't actually get to watch it. When did you first decide to watch these films? I know it was pretty recently.
No, it wasn't that recently. We've gone over my origin story before. First off, I was born the year of the third movie, Return of the Jedi. And second of all, my mom set me down. I can tell you exactly what year it was because it was the year The Lion King came out on VHS. So it was 1995. My mom set us down and she was told my brother and I we were watching these movies. I don't even think we got through A New Hope. And my brother and I were like, nope, not into this. And then when maybe 6 years ago, I sat down and watched all of them because Hollywood Studios was turning everything into Star Wars.
MGM.
I know. It took me years to stop saying MGM. And now I still can't stop calling Downtown Disney. It's now Disney Springs.
I know. I heard you say Downtown Disney in the last one, and I was like, yeah, that's what it's called.
Yeah,
I still call it Downtown Disney. I completely forgot that they did change it, even though I've been reading it.
Disney keeps changing everything. Like, I went there a few years ago, and I went to Hollywood Studios, and I did all the cool stuff that I did as a kid. I went on Indiana Jones. They changed Star Tours for like the 85th time.
Well, there's multiple ones of Star Tours.
Okay. Yeah, this was like the third different one I've seen. I went on Tower of Terror, and then I go to the Great Movie Ride, or the Great Movie Adventure Ride, because I love that one. And they closed it for
Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad.
Yeah, I was like, what is this shit? What is this shit?
Great Movie Ride's way better.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's been, I think, the most disappointing thing of the change. But I mean, as much as I'm now that I'm getting way more into Star Wars, like I love going to Galaxy's Edge now. But every Christmas, I'm very sad the lights are gone. Did you ever go at Christmas time?
Yes.
Yeah, those
Lucky.
Every Christmas, I'm like, that makes me sad.
It was so cool.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I would literally, like, we'd get there before the lights came on, and I would just stare at my kids when the lights came on and watch their faces. It was just like every year was a shock.
Yeah.
But yeah, Disney.
What are some of your guys' favorite scenes from this movie?
Lauren, you can go.
It's the ants' clothing, definitely.
The what?
The
what?
aunt's clothing. It drives me fucking nuts. She's dressed like it's like 1977.
Bro, how are you gonna like hate? I said, what are your favorite things? And you're like, the part where she gets burned by the stormtroopers because fuck the clothes that she wears.
She is wearing, and it's like she literally just like wore her clothes from home and everybody else is wearing robes.
Yeah, they were poor back then, okay? They were poor moisture farmers on Tatooine. How dare you?
And
I don't know what my favorite part is.
It's like making fun of the Amish, okay?
No, but she's dressed like it's 1977. I also find it interesting that when Obi-Wan cut off the thing's arm in the cantina, it was bloody. That's the only time we see a bloody severed limb.
Oh, that's fair.
My favorite part, I think when I was rewatching it this time around and going in chronological order, I kind of braced myself a little bit for some like misogyny and maybe even some racism. And despite the fact that there were scenes with female fighter pilots that were cut, but they then used that footage in Rogue One later, despite that, it's really not bad. It's really held up well. So I'm going to say, like, I really love how Leia held up. And, like, Han's a little bit misogynistic, but Leia holds her own just fine against him. And
she does, actually. She's, for the times, she's one of the more badass, like, women in film, considering the times, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And they do hint that she has Jedi in her. They don't, like, because from what I remembered, I'm like, well, why are they just focused on Luke? And granted, Obi-Wan knew full well who she was. Like, she was Leia Organa. He knows where Leia went. But I was okay that they didn't focus on her because Vader even said, there's another Jedi out there. It's your sister. So I was like, okay, good. All right, good job, George Lucas, even though you told her to lose 10 pounds and you cut out scenes with girl fighter pilots. So I'm just going to say Leia in general, she was Carrie Fisher. I mean, I love Carrie Fisher. She did great.
That's fair. Fair.
I didn't pick a part. I did not follow your rules.
No, that's okay. You pick some things that you like. That's what we're here for. Justin, what do you got?
Okay.
Yeah, I like to think, to touch up on that, I like to think that they didn't try and train Leia early on because she was meant to be the general of the Rebel forces. But, like, there are comics and books that fill in the gap. Like, she did train, but not, like, fully. I'd say my favorite part was probably when they rescued her and they're running away in, like, stormtrooper outfits and, like Han's doing that thing on the voice thing. He's like, yeah, everything's fine here. And then he shoots the computer thing. I laughed pretty hard, though, when they rescued Leia and, like, she's a prisoner. She's on this spaceship in the middle of nowhere. And, like, she's got her eyelashes done. She's got lip gloss on. Her hair's perfect. I'm like, it's a pretty good prisoner over here.
Yeah.
She's just sitting there doing her makeup in the meantime. I do think the funny thing about her, she's literally shit talking everybody the entire rescue. All she does is just talk shit. She's like, aren't you a little short? And then she's just, how are you going to get out of here? Is that what you're doing? Let's go, flyboy. She's just shit talking him the whole time. It's kind of badass.
Yeah. And I forgot she says flyboy because that makes me think of Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Because she calls Anakin that. So that was cute. It's funny, the fake curse words. Like, what's the one they always say in Mando?
Nerf herder?
No, it's not nerf herder. There's like a curse word that
lurking or something. I don't know.
I don't know. I'll look it up. You can move along and I'll Google it.
Get away from cussing. Yeah, I enjoy all those things. I forget how much this movie kind of takes place on the Death Star with them rescuing her, and then after that, we just kind of jump to the final battle already. I mean, I forget that a good portion of this movie kind of does take place on there. I think one of the things that bothers me most about this movie is just when Vader and Kenobi are fighting, and Kenobi, like, you see Vader go to hit him, but Kenobi just disappears into the Force.
Yeah.
I was like, so wait, does Vader technically kill him? I've always been confused by this scene.
Dude.
Like what
Vader
lets him kill him.
What about when Vader steps on his robe, like Obi-Wan's hiding?
Yeah,
like,
he's just stepping on the robe like
he's Ant-Man. Like, where do you think he went? It was
crawled up
when
Vader's
ass. When I saw him
Yeah.
step on that after, like, we know now that Vader's killed dozens of Jedi, I was like, this is so stupid. This is pretty stupid.
That is very, very funny. You're right, because he does that. He like goes to hit him and he disappears, and then he's stepping on the robe and he's confused. I think he's equally as confused. He's like, did I hit him? What just happened? Because you don't even see, like, the robes aren't even cut in half or anything. He just disappears. And I get it. It's a product of 1977, but that's something that's always bothered me about that entire movie is just that
they could have fixed
sequence.
when they updated it.
George is out here fixing minor details when he could have clearly fixed Darth Vader just chopping Obi-Wan up.
Yeah. So Dank Ferric is the curse word that they say in Mandalorian all the time.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
That's fair.
Think fair.
Do you guys have anything else that you want to say about A New Hope before we move on to The Empire Strikes Back?
I mean, I find the whole, like, Death Star being destroyed thing kind of, like, the enemy is so overwhelmingly powerful that, like, it's almost like unbelievable how they win all the time. Like, when the rebels are attacking and the general is telling Vader, like, oh, our like turrets, like, they're too close for our turrets to work. I'm like, you guys didn't think while building this, like, to use, like, short range turrets or something. Or, like, when he was like, release all the flyers, there has to be, that thing is massive, dude. There has to be like 100,000 people on that thing. I would have been like, get everybody out there. Everybody out there.
Maybe Jyn Erso's dad did that on purpose.
I know, but like you're telling me the whole empire,
pretty good design flaw.
the whole empire only entrusted one engineer. Like nobody quality checked it. They were like, he's good. He's
This
good.
holds like a
Even though we
million
forced
people
him
on
to
it.
come here and made him abandon his wife and daughter. Or no, killed his wife.
We hold this guy hostage. Somebody didn't double check his work at all this entire time. I will say that is funny. Like they made the Empire so unbeatable almost that they had to find the most ridiculous way possible to beat them. But it's like, George, you could have thought of any way. Like, while you could have had Obi-Wan die by sabotaging the inside core of the Death Star. Like we could have gone with that route. Instead, he's just like, nope. We have 2 TIE fighters and Darth Vader, the best pilot to ever live, bearing down Luke Skywalker's neck in the trench. And none of them hit Luke. None of them at all of a sudden. And then, boom, Luke gets 2 shots off and this whole place blows. Like
R2-D2 got wrecked, though.
Oh, yeah. R2 was
He got shot and he was like, "Brrr," he like screamed. I was like, oh, shit, dude.
If they'd had, that's the ending for Independence Day, though, where the guy, they can't shoot, so the guy flies his plane up into the alien spaceship.
Well, yeah, that's true. Hello, boys.
But I mean, this was in
back.
77. You could have done it first, Lucas. He's like, what does he say? I'm back, assholes, or something? Or maybe just I'm back.
I definitely just agreed. Like, there was other ways we could have gone about blowing up this Death Star.
Yeah.
But, all right, let's roll into The Empire Strikes Back, which is honestly most people's favorite Star Wars film. And came out in 1980. The director this time was Irvin Kershner, written by Leah Brackett and Lawrence Kasdan, and story was by George Lucas, and it shows. So after the rebels are brutally overpowered by the Empire on the ice planet Hoth, Luke Skywalker begins Jedi training with Yoda, while his friends are pursued across the galaxy by Darth Vader and bounty hunter Boba Fett.
What?
Crazy. Yeah, so this film obviously opens up. This is where we get the great Tauntaun scene. Luke fights the Yeti and somehow survives inside a Tauntaun. Like, I wonder what that smelled like.
Do you know how warm a Tauntaun is?
Lukewarm.
Oh, man.
Oh, God. Boo. Boo.
Oh, it's a good one, and you know it.
Turn her mic off after she gives us these fun facts.
All right. So back in the 70s, the movie credits were still at the beginning of the movies, which is always annoying when you watch a really old movie. They allowed Lucas to get away with this for A New Hope, and then they fined the shit out of him for doing it during Empire. Lucas paid all the fees because they fined the director too, but then he left the Directors Guild. Unfortunately, then that meant that he couldn't get the director he wanted for Return of the Jedi, which was Steven Spielberg. Obviously, it worked out in the end. So they started shooting this in Norway, and you know how I'd mentioned the first day of shooting for A New Hope, it was ridiculously hot and rainy and like not what they anticipated. Well, this was the worst winter in 50 years in Norway, and it was 20 below zero. So they had a 120-degree difference from the first day of filming A New Hope and the first day of filming Empire Strikes Back. So John Ratzenberger, who's Cliff from Cheers, also known as Ham, the uncultured swine from Toy Story, is the one who tells Han not to go back out into the cold on Hoth. You know, I knew that, and now I need to go back and watch that because I forgot it. And it's like I want to be like, I want the Leonardo DiCaprio moment for myself. So one day it was too cold to even leave the hotel. They were basically snowed in. So they shot the scene of Luke running from the snow monster at the hotel. So the crew was in the hallway of the hotel, nice and warm, and Mark Hamill had to run out of the hotel, and they literally shot it from inside the hotel. So no one knew the shocking revelation about Vader being Luke's dad. Even David Prowse, who played the body of Vader, did not know. He was fed fake lines. What he said was that Obi-Wan killed your father. But Mark Hamill was told right before. The voice of Boba Fett. Oh, I already said that one. So Harrison ad-libbed the I know. So the scene where he was about to be, carbonite, they were trying to do I love you too. They're like, it's just not working. And finally they told Harrison, just say what you feel. And he said, I know. And you know how many people I've seen with those freaking shirts on?
Oh God, they're especially at Disney, like the Disney couples. Ugh.
Oh yeah, my mom has the mugs with her husband.
You know what I was thinking when he said that? Like, what if that was literally the last time they ever saw each other, and like Leia spent the rest of her life being like, does he let me back? like imagine. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, you
That
get
would be
that in
pretty
Return
awesome.
of the Jedi, though. She's like, I know. So you got to just, I guess, yeah. But yeah, in real life, somebody would totally overthink that.
Right?
It's kind of a dick thing to say, but he was kind of a dick.
That's true, yeah.
So Luke is considered having Yoda actually be a monkey with a mask and a stick. And I just instantly imagined like Grogu, like with this teeny tiny monkey with a mask and a stick. So Yoda is actually a combination of the artist's face himself who designed it and Einstein. So there's a little bit of Einstein in Yoda. And that's what I got for Empire.
I did not know that. I thought Yoda looked better in the original movies, specifically like Empire, than he did in Phantom Menace. Like it was so obviously a puppet in Phantom, and I like the OG Yoda.
You know,
Yeah,
I
they
actually
said
agree with you.
Yeah, I would say the only thing is they said that if they put a lightsaber in his hand, it looked silly. That's why he never holds a lightsaber, which I get that. And obviously in
900 years
the
old.
prequels, the CGI. But I mean, like, it would literally be like Kermit the Frog holding a lightsaber.
Yeah, I mean, luckily he really didn't need to, I guess.
Right, but he did need to in episode 3
And
Yes.
2.
and 2.
That's true. That's true. So what are some of you guys' thoughts, favorite scenes, least favorite scenes? Lauren, we'll start with you then this one.
I did really like this one. This one might be my favorite because you've honestly, like, I from what I had remembered, I thought the Darth Vader scene, the "I'm your father," was at in the third one, but it's not. It's in this one. Oh man,
Bespin,
favorite
yeah.
scene in this one. I don't know. Can I say that I'm your father? Is that cliche?
Sure.
I
mean,
can't
it's
think of a
it's
specific
great
one on the
sequence.
spot.
Like that whole lightsaber battle is actually probably my favorite one in the original trilogy because it's nothing flashy, it's nothing crazy, but Luke walks in there with this sense of almost like overconfident, and Vader's just kind of toying with him the whole time, just messing
Yeah.
around. And he does get some good shots on Vader. I'll give him that, but he just quickly like cuts his hand off. Is like, dude, I'm your dad. But then is like, Dad, you cut my hand off. What the hell, man? And then he just drops out, and that's it. But it was a good lightsaber battle. Probably my favorite lightsaber battle in this entire trilogy.
Yeah. I can't think of a specific one because this is Cloud City too.
Mm-hmm.
Because they all kind of blend together for me too, because it's just a long, continuous story with just pauses.
Oh my gosh!
I know you remember the
Oh
names
my
of episodes
gosh.
and everything. I can't do that.
Oh my
Shit.
gosh, Justin, you know what? Save us here. What
It's
do you
never
got?
going to be enough.
I'm gonna step in. She's tapping out. Speaking of the fight, though, I thought it was hilarious when Luke kicked him and Vader made that like, whoa!
Oh yeah,
he, like
kicks him,
fell
he's
back.
like,
But this has been my favorite original movie since I was a kid because I loved in all the movies, in all the games, the Battle of Hoth. Like it was sick. You see these AT-ATs, which I used to call them AT&Ts when I was a kid. And they were just like, the battle was, like I said, so one-sided. Like you have these rebels in little like trenches and these massive walkers and they're shooting at them. It's like, dude, why even shoot at them? It's not doing anything. And then you see Luke take it down with a little rope thing. I really liked, this was the first time also because we obviously saw Mando recently and Boba. And it reminded me of that because when Yoda was training Luke and he told him his friends were in danger on the Cloud City, he told them like, you can go, but like you really need to stay and finish your training. And it reminded me of when Luke said the same thing to Grogu. He was like, the greater good, like you need to stay. And he chose his friend. And I don't know if they did that purposely or I just tied it in.
Thanks, Grogu. You contributed to the collapse of Luke's Jedi Academy because had you stayed, you probably would have saved everybody. But you know, whatever.
Also, that fight between Luke and Vader, this was the first time I noticed, but like you have the like one of the strongest Sith in the universe, and Vader was like throwing little boxes at him. And Luke, and he was making these like really dramatic, like, oh, like spinning and like doing that. I was just like, dude, just move out of the way, dude.
I watched some of the behind the scenes for that though, and it's like they're throwing styrofoam at him, and he's having to pretend that it's like chunks of like the wall and stuff.
But they
But it's just
so
like
effortlessly when they move them. He's just like, oh.
It's just like he did nothing. He didn't try and block it or move. He was just like taking it. Like
He literally has a
Right,
lightsaber.
it's like the
He
one
can just cut
Jedi
these
that-
things in half.
What's the Jedi that died like that at the end of episode 3? Like she doesn't even try to move; she just collapses. It's like the same thing.
Well,
With the-
she got
the
shot from
blue-
behind. You talking
that
about
chick? Yeah.
I forget her name now.
The blue tentacle head. Also, did you
The
guys
Twi'lek.
notice? Yeah, when Han was frozen and Lando went up to his like carbonite thing, did he slip a tracker in there when he touched it? Did he like slip a tracker?
I don't
in there?
know.
I don't know.
'Cause
I
how
actually
else-
never noticed that.
He like put his hand on the button thing, and I was like, maybe that's how they know where Jabba's palace is. I don't know.
Well, I think Jabba's palace is pretty well known too, wasn't it? Because
Yeah.
everybody knows who Jabba the Hutt is, how he controls Mos Eisley, all that stuff.
And that's where Luke grew up.
And that's obviously, Luke grew up on Tatooine, so.
True. I also noticed Lando had some pretty big balls, dude. When he was talking to Vader on the Cloud City, like he was like raising his voice, and I was like, dude, you gotta
and starting to
take
argue
it
with
easy,
him.
dude.
Vader's like the calm dad, like, who in the fuck do you think you're talking to?
Right.
Yeah,
you were just hitting on my daughter.
surprisingly calm. He was like, do we need to change pray I don't alter it any further? And I was like, dude, you better relax. Like,
What I don't get, so I had remembered when I rewatched them, like for some reason I remembered Luke and Leia kissing in the second one and then, finding out that that's his sister in the third one. Mm-hmm. But that's not the case. I was like, oh, maybe they just didn't know they were going to make them brother and sister. Like that all happens in the same damn movie. Like, why did they do that? Why did he have him kiss his sister? When we played trivia the other night, there was a team called I Kissed My Sister.
well,
That was your sister, dude.
They kiss in the second one, right? Empire.
Yeah.
But then isn't it in return he tells him?
In return, he tells her, but he, I think, finds out in Empire that they're siblings.
Listen, it's in a galaxy far away. It may be normal over there.
But we're in Game of
We're
Thrones.
hating on Luke kissing his sister, but like a couple years ago,
his sister kissed him.
Okay, regardless. A couple of years ago, we were literally like, John, why are you not banging your cousin right now? What is wrong with you?
I was never on board with that. It was his aunt. It was not his cousin.
Wait, what was this? What?
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
We were literally like, John, why are you not
because it was
smashing your cousin
Khaleesi.
right now? Okay, what is wrong with you? And then the rest of us like, ew, Luke, you kissed your sister. Gross, man. And he just
Sisters
no.
are closer than cousins, but both of them are gross. But no, she was his aunt, and he still thought that was creepy, but she was used to incest and was fine with it.
Yeah, no. Yeah, for sure.
I would have been cool with
Come
it
give
too.
your auntie a
Anything for you,
kiss.
Daenerys.
And bend
I
the
didn't
knee.
know how young Carrie Fisher was in this. Like I looked her up. I think she was 24, right?
That sounds right, yeah.
Let me see.
Very young in Empire.
So is Luke.
Yeah, I know Han was much older.
Yeah, they said they wanted someone more
He was
experienced.
in his
And that
30s
makes
when he started, like almost 40 or something when he filmed the first one, because he was like a carpenter or something.
Yep.
And
then he
in
did
the
Indiana
Empire
Jones
Strikes
show,
Back,
right?
she was actually only 22.
That's crazy, dude.
That is crazy.
Which it's often
they
we forget
told a
just how young
teenager
she
to lose
was.
10 pounds.
Oh, I didn't think about that. That's true. Well, you're right. She was 19. So yeah, that's fair. I will say though, it is pretty badass how to think about it. Like Lando though, the first time we finally meet Lando and all that kind of stuff, he is basically selling them out. And then he's like, guys, my bad. It was just a prank, bro. And it's like, don't hit me. What do you hit me for? It was just a prank. And then it's like, dude, you just literally turned them all over. And then Luke at the same time, he's using a blaster. But the one thing I want to talk about is, has anybody noticed in these films that anytime any Jedi gets in trouble, or Luke in particular, it's just as simple as use the Force, Luke. And he's like, oh, duh. Why didn't I think of that? And then he solves everything by the Force.
I think that's for the audience too, to be like, hey, he's not just, whatever. Like, this isn't just randomly happening. This is the Force. I think I really liked that moment because you saw that Leia had the Force too. Like, he wasn't reaching out to Han. He wasn't reaching out to anybody else. Like, Leia was receptive of it because she too is a Jedi.
Well, yeah, that was kind of like the first time it was confirmed kind of for her too, that she had some sort of Force sensitivity, and everybody was like, what?
Yeah. I actually wrote that part down because Luke didn't know Han was frozen. So do you think he like randomly called out to her or like somehow knew? Like why do you think he thought she would hear it?
I think he searched his feelings and knew it to be true.
You can't. That's
okay. So I was going to say something like that, but the actual explanation I was going to give was, you trust in the Force, you use the Force. He's reaching out through the Force. And I feel like the one person he saw within using the Force was Leia because she's connected to the Force as well. And so maybe that's how he was like, oh, wow, I can see her when I'm searching through the Force, whatever that may mean for a Jedi. And so she's the first thing that he saw within that and was able to call out to her in that way.
Okay.
That's my theory anyways. What do you think?
Take it. Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, do you have a different theory? What do you think on this matter?
Dude, I mean, I would like to think that he somehow felt connected to her, like, because of everyone. Like, he had no clue how far away they were, if she would hear or anything. So
that's true. I mean, one of those desperation mode kind of things, right? So, do you guys have anything else you want to add before we move on to Return of the Jedi?
No, I did look it up, and I guess that they didn't find out that they were siblings till the third one. I guess in my recent rewatch, I could have sworn it was the same movie.
Yeah, because in the third one, which I watched earlier today, they were standing in the end door on the little like tree bridge thing, and he was like,
"Yeah,
my father," and he's like, "and my sister," and then they looked at each other, and she's like,
"What?"
For some reason, I had remembered him finding out in the second one, and then him not telling her till the third one. Though that's what for some reason what I remembered
too, but I could be wrong too.
Well, that's because in the third one. Or the sixth one, Yoda said there is another.
That's right. That's true. You're right. He's right. And Return of the Jedi, which we're going to go over right now, that is exactly when. I didn't realize, side note, that both A New Hope and Return of the Jedi released on May 25th. So that was a happy coincidence. So Return of the Jedi.
That's what they were trying to do with Obi-Wan.
Yeah. And they had to delay 2 days. Like, what the hell?
Dude, it should have been
May the 4th. May the 4th. Yep. You would have gotten Moon Knight.
May the 4th, though, they were ending Moon Knight, and then they had Doctor Strange coming out the next day. They scheduled, I mean, they could have scheduled those separate or differently, but
they wouldn't have absolutely crushed all sorts of ratings or anything like that by releasing all those things right that weekend. Like, what a power move that would have been.
Yeah, but I don't think Disney Plus can't handle that.
Hey, I guess you would have found out. I get it, but then they should have kept on the 25th, I feel like, instead of, I get it. We get 2 episodes of Obi-Wan 2 days later, but you kind of lose that symbolism at that point, which is what they were going for.
Did they ever say why?
No, not that I know of.
It's kind of weird. Like, what do they need 2 extra days for?
Ewan McGregor was just like, hey, surprise, we're releasing it 2 days later, and you get 2 episodes this time. And we're all like...
Well, no, they had him do it to ease the blow.
Well, exactly. We're all like, yay, wait, what? Hold up. But 2 episodes, so okay, whatever. I guess I can't complain that bad.
But it's Ewan McGregor, so I'm not going to yell. Thank you.
I don't know. So, Return of the Jedi released in 1983. This one was written by Lawrence Kasdan, screenplay by George Lucas, and actually directed by Richard Marquand. I hope I said that right.
Marquand, I think, because he's related to Ross Marquand.
Oh,
Marquand.
There you go.
Fuck if I know.
Nobody can pronounce names on this podcast. Okay, if we did, I don't know. But after a daring mission,
I tried to fix you. I think I ruined it.
To rescue Han Solo from Jabba the Hutt, the rebels dispatch to Endor to destroy the second Death Star and have a band of mean, angry teddy bears. Meanwhile, Luke struggles to help Darth Vader back from the dark side without falling into the Emperor's trap. This movie, we finally actually get to see more of the Emperor. Finally. He was kind of teased. You see him a little bit in Empire Strikes Back, but finally, this is when like everything comes to a head. And in the vein of Spider-Man 3, we kind of have emo, all-black Luke Skywalker strolling places such as Jabba's palace, being like, "No, I'm bad to the bone. You're gonna do what I say," and all sorts of things. Which also leads to one of a really great blunder is when they're actually in the sands out there. Luke hits that guy. And then he goes to kick the other guy, but misses his kick completely. But the guy still falls off. And it's always one of the greatest things on earth.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's funny. Maybe it was a force kick.
He did. The wind must have caught him. I don't know. He's not used to wind from a kick at the very least. But something happened and the guy flew off anyways. But Lauren, why don't you give us your fun facts and then we will go ahead and dive into this before we wrap it up.
So I did just mention the director, Richard Marquand, is related to Ross Marquand. If you don't know who he is, he's Aaron in The Walking Dead. He was Red Skull in Infinity War and Endgame. And he actually voices a bunch of Star Wars animated stuff too. So he's known for doing really crazy voices. And he'll be at Tampa Bay MegaCon or Comic-Con.
Who won't be at...
So Harrison...
Oh, wait, never mind. I was thinking Orlando MegaCon. Never mind. As you were.
No, he won't be that one. But I actually met him at one of the cons. He was so freaking sweet. Such a nice dude. So Harrison Ford thought that he should have been killed off and not in Return of the Jedi. And George Lucas is like, no, you're coming back. The Rancor is actually a really tiny puppet, and they wanted to make it more life-size, and it just wasn't working. So it is a tiny puppet. But what's funny is I also jumped ahead a little bit and did some research on Boba, because there was a new documentary on the Boba Fett show. And in that, they actually made a like life-size head of a Rancor. Most of the body's CGI, but the head is like life-size. So it was really funny to watch these documentaries back to back and see this tiny little creepy puppet that's like, I don't know, 2 feet tall, maybe. And then a giant head that's like 20 feet tall. I don't know. But it's funny. And both those documentaries are on Disney Plus if anybody's interested. And you're going to hear a lot of these fun facts again, because that's where I got a lot of them from. When Leia went to kill Boba the first time, or not Boba, Jabba the first time, she stepped on him with her heel. Well, unfortunately, there was a little person inside of Jabba, and she stepped right on his head with her heel. So they had to put like some makeshift like card piece or something, so this poor guy in there did not get like trampled by Princess Leia's heels. For the people eaten by the Sarlacc, they had shoved like things up their nose, and they had to shut their mouth and close their eyes when they went in there, or they would get like sand in every orifice of their body. And they said they show a clip of it real quick. It's Empire of Dreams is the documentary, and you can probably YouTube it too, of the people like falling through the Sarlacc pit, and then they have to like roll off the tarp really quick, and it's like clowns in like a car. Like, how many things are going to come into this thing? And they even said it was like a comedy show underneath the Sarlacc pit. After Jedi, Lucasfilm created the Pixar camera, which was sold to Pixar. So who knew that? We got the Pixar camera from Lucasfilms. And of course, that led to, Toy Story and all that. So I had actually predicted this, and I don't think this was difficult to predict by any means. I'm no genius. Lucasfilm, George Lucas was waiting for the CGI and everything to get better before he started working on the prequels. And it was after watching Jurassic Park that he then said, okay, it's time to start working on these movies. When the trilogy was updated, Lucas made the film that he wanted to. I already said that. So Ewokanese is a combination of Tibetan and Nepalese. If anybody ever wanted to try to learn it, if you know those languages, it might be easier. I mentioned the fighter pilots thing. They ended up on the cutting room floor, but they were brought back in Rogue One. David Prowse is not the face when you see the Vader mask come off. It is Sebastian Shaw. So there's like 4 different people, 5 if you include animation, that have played Anakin/Vader. Prowse and Lucas apparently were not the best of friends, but when he passed in 2020, Lucas came out and said that David Prowse made Darth Vader leap off the page, end quote, and described his physicality as, quote, an imposing stature and movement performance to match the intensity and undercut current of Vader's presence, end quote.
George Lucas literally didn't tell David Prowse that he wasn't going to use his voice or anything at all. There's this crazy documentary about this whole thing, how Lucas really did Prowse dirty and then wouldn't pay him, banned him from Star Wars celebrations, like all sorts of things. I highly recommend people go and check that out.
And I think that was when the bad blood, they kind of like cut it off. But after he passed, he did say some nice things to him. My last fun fact is, at one point, so this movie was originally going to be Return of the Jedi. And then somebody's like, it should be Revenge of the Jedi. And then last minute, Lucas is like, I'm changing it back to Return of the Jedi because revenge is not the Jedi way. And if you've watched Rebels, you heard the line. And of course, it responds Ahsoka's response, I am no Jedi.
That's fair. That's fair. You guys know the drill. What are some things? How do you guys feel about how this wrapped up? And also, what are your guys' thoughts on the damn Ewoks?
They're scary motherfuckers.
I'm pretty sure the Minions movies took the Ewoks' voices because they sound identical.
They really do.
Maybe.
They really do.
I was like, this is literally the same thing. Speaking of what you mentioned from the first movie about things that Lucas added in, I could be wrong, so correct me. Some of the things I never noticed before were when they're flying over to the Sarlacc pit, there's like that camera shot where they show like a herd of banthas.
Oh, yeah,
like,
they did add that in, yeah.
I never noticed that. And then 2 was in Jabba's palace, the same species of the Saboba monster that races Anakin in the Phantom Menace.
Saboba.
Yeah, he walks down the stairs, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen
That
him
definitely
either.
got added in as well. I'm pretty sure.
Dude, I feel like I'm having the Mandela effect.
Look, it's
because I've
Berenstain
seen,
Bears, okay? It is EIN.
I can't
And
remember
it's
like
Luke,
anything
I'm
that's
your
going
father.
on. And the only other thing I noticed, dude, so like I said, Empire Strikes Back was my favorite movie for a long time. And I think after seeing them like over a dozen times each, I might have to give it to Return of the Jedi.
Ooh.
And I'll touch up on that later. But the other thing I noticed was when Akbar does the famous "It's a trap" scene, Lando pronounces Han's name Han.
He does, yes.
Dude, I rewound it like 8 times. I was like, am I hearing shit? He goes, Han. And I'm like, how did nobody catch this?
He does.
he has
I
an
specifically
accent,
remember
kind of.
this the whole time. Yes.
It's the only time he ever says it like that. And I'm like, yo, he definitely messed it up because it's HAN and just nobody corrected it.
Right.
They're like, it's the heat of the moment. Who cares? He forgets his old friend's name or how to pronounce it. Whatever.
Dude, yeah. And then the last thought was just when Luke defeated Vader and the Emperor was approaching him and he chucked his lightsaber. I was like, you shouldn't have done that.
That was very
gonna do that.
interesting. I don't know. Obviously, we get it. It's his big final stand, right? He's just like, oh, yeah, whatever. But then he gives the whole, I'm a Jedi like my father before me. But then why'd you throw your lightsaber? What are you doing?
I feel like Jedis do that sometimes.
Ouch.
I'm going to throw
How
my
many
lightsaber.
lightsabers did Anakin lose?
Absolutely. Yeah, he lost it. He didn't willingly toss it to the side and like, I'm a Jedi like my father before me.
Kylo did.
Dude, what?
Also, you guys know that's the same Emperor actor, right?
Oh, yeah, Ian McDermott. Yep. He was...
Dude.
He was only 37 when he did the originals.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Imagine being the original and then 20 something years later, they're like, hey, you want to come back and do it?
Like,
And then
you get to play you
again.
this time.
and then again, yeah.
Nope, I don't know what you're talking
And,
about. He never did it again after episode 3. That's a shame.
Dude, speaking of the Emperor, unless
Never had any
you've read
grandkids.
unless you've read the books or some of the graphic novels where they talk about how like Palpatine cloned himself and shit,
Yes.
he fell into the pit and there was a zero, like negative chance of him surviving. It exploded.
It was a dark pit and
Fucking
everything exploded and the Death Star blew up.
Plasma shot up and like his body did not survive this, dude.
But Darth Maul was cut in half.
No, look, Darth
But
Maul
he
was cut in
literally
half.
exploded.
But Palpatine
So did
literally
Professor X.
blew up. Palpatine blew up and then the Death Star blew up. I'm not going to
Professor X
believe.
exploded and nobody ever explained that
Like,
one.
did Palpatine float in space like Frieza? And then they found him and they're like, we'll put him back together.
He was
Like,
just
it was
floating like
ridiculous.
Leia in The Last Jedi, and then they're like, "Oh wait, cool." Or he just landed at the bottom, got up, was like, "Hey, hold that shuttle real quick," and hops on and escapes. Like, what?
Maybe it was forced projection like what Luke did in
Nah, he
The
got-
Last
he got-
Because
Jedi.
it gives a pretty
Blasted.
definitive ending to Emperor Palpatine, and it's a very fitting ending to the entire Skywalker saga itself. Like, Luke
yes.
sees the good in Anakin. His whole thing was, I got captured on purpose. Father, I know there's good in you. I'm going to save you. I'm going to save you. I'm going to save you so hard, man. And that's his whole thing. And everything gets wrapped up nice in a bow. So you expect me to... I got to save it for next week. Going to save it for next week.
Well,
But
and if it ends here and Palpatine's done, then Vader was the chosen one. He did bring balance to the Force.
he
He
literally
did end
was the
Sith.
chosen one. That was the thing. The prophecy fulfilled
Right.
itself. He ended the
Right,
Sith and brought balance.
Well,
Right. Prophecy fulfilled. The end.
yeah, the
Haha,
argument
just
is like
kidding.
Vader's the chosen one because he had Luke, but Luke's not really the chosen one because he trained Ben, who then Rey. Like it never ends, dude.
They're not actually the chosen one, but Anakin was the chosen one. He brought balance at the end. He destroyed the Sith. He finally destroyed the Sith. And so it's just like this is a beautiful ending. You get the scene of them where he's dragging him onto the shuttle and he sees his face and that whole sequence that is just extremely, emotional, things like that. It ends very nicely. And yeah, so I mean, at least Chewie finally gets his medal, right? I mean, at least we got some good from
I
that.
know. What the hell? That seems racist. In the
How do you
first
like
one that he didn't get a
the,
medal.
the promotion system in the Rebels? It's like It's like they spent 1 year in the Rebel Alliance and like, General, you're a general of the whole fleet now.
Look, you survived this one battle, dude. Easy, general. Promote him.
There are a lot of generals.
Yeah, dude.
Everybody's
ridiculous.
a general. I wish I can get promoted like that. I'd be rolling in the money right now. That'd be nice.
So I don't know what any rankings are ever. So it's like it gives me no like
just know like
idea.
General is like
but
as
I
high
know
as
there's
you
a lot
can
of
go.
generals in Star Wars. There's a lot of generals.
Everybody's
Speaking
a
of
general.
Akbar, who wants to see a limited series on Akbar?
Yes, please.
I would actually
That'd be
take
cool.
like him doing rebel things like fighting battles and things like that during this time period. And seeing him do that stuff, I would be so in.
As long as at least every episode there's something like it's a trap, it's a wrap, it's a trap.
It's the
He just
Empire.
says like something that rhymes.
Right. But no, we got to meet young Akbar in Clone Wars.
We did, yes.
And that would be. I'd love to
Yeah,
see
we
more
did,
origin
but-
stories with some of these characters.
I would like it. If we're gonna get just random spin-off origin stories, then why not?
I think we are.
Speaking of when Luke beat Vader, why, unless like the robotic arm is connected to nerve still, he yelled out in pain when he cut his hand off again? But it's like
Maybe it's
I was
just
like, would you-
instinctive.
it's like ghost phantom
muscle
pain.
memory. I remember this hurts.
I wrote down 3 things, which is kind of back up my comment, which is why I think I like Return of the Jedi more. These 3 things after watching all 3 movies like really hit home, like I guess emotionally for me. At the end when Luke said, "I need to save you," and Vader said, "You already have," I was like, damn, dude.
See,
Right in
again.
the feels. Right in the feels, dude.
Yeah.
And then them putting Hayden as the Force Ghost, like, dude, because I mean, Hayden Christensen, like all the Star Wars fans know, like this poor dude spent 2 decades of getting shit on when he did exactly what Lucas wanted. And anyone who's watched interviews with the Phantom Menace crew, Lucas would only let them do like 1 take. So like if you see anything cheesy with Ian McGregor and like you're like, he's a great actor, why did he do that? Like they said it was 1 and done. That was it. And these poor dudes just got shit on for decades. And then when Yoda died.
Yeah, Yoda's just
Right?
like he just again disappears, just poof. He's like, man, I'm
Have you seen
tired.
the memes? Though?
He's I'm so tired.
But Yoda's like every parent. He's sick of hearing this is bullshit, and he just falls asleep and dies.
Yeah.
It's so true. But you're right.
It was-
Those are good ones.
It's just sad, dude, because, you know, we see him. He's 900 years old. He's like the last real Jedi who went through training and was there with the temple and all the old G cast, and he dies off, man. And I was like, damn.
Yeah.
Until he comes
Sad.
back to tell Luke that everything the Jedi readings were all a bunch of bullshit. But, you know, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, when he tells him to burn the tree at the temple, I'm just like,
It's like, Luke, all this was bullcrap, man. I was just chilling. They had a good pension program. So, yeah, it's all bullshit.
Oh man! Once Order 66 went, my pension went out the window. So
He's
burn
like,
the
none
bitch.
of this matters. Nothing matters anyway. So burn the tree. Who cares? I love these films, right? And these 3 movies are, for the most part, people our age. This is what you get introduced to as a kid, or when you're 45 years old, or whatever. And
I'm not 45.
and this is
I'm still in my
where you get
30s.
started at. It's a great time.
Jeez. Is this revenge for my Batman vs Superman comment last
Unless you're going
week?
to talk shit about all things that are holy in this world, I'm coming for the throat. And I love these films. Do you guys have anything before we wrap this up? Our little original trilogy talk. Do you guys have any final thoughts?
Lauren, you didn't touch up on Return of the Jedi too much.
Yeah. Do you got anything
No.
to say, or you're just like Finn?
Are you in shock of how good it is?
No, it was good. I did like it.
She's like, of all the movies I've watched, Return of the Jedi was one of them.
That was a good movie. I liked it. I recommend watching
I
it.
like the part where they do space things with their hands.
Yeah. No, it was I feel like it was the funner of the 3.
Funner.
Because you have, the Ewoks are fun. You get some comedy with C-3PO being a god. And I have a fun little meme I'm going to share again next week of like the Ewoks going to somebody's house and they're like, have you heard about our Lord and Savior C-3PO? That's the meme. That's it. But it's funny. And the Ewoks, though, are fucking hardcore. And I think we have a letters to the editor that we can talk about a little bit as far as some theories as to how freaking hardcore they are. But I did read like one of the things that one of the people liked about the Ewoks was that I think it was the guy that played the main Ewok. He was like a little kid then. He was 11. I can't remember his name. He's been in multiple appearances. He was in episode 1. I'm waiting for Matt to suddenly say his name. He'll say it. So he said, what I loved about the Ewoks was that they didn't need technology or like strength to beat, stormtroopers and whatnot. They were together and they rallied and they had each other and whatnot. And they kicked the crap out of some stormtroopers.
Yeah, they use like, terrorist tactics.
Yeah, exactly. Guerrilla warfare.
Dude, it was so sad when that one Ewok died and the little one was he was like, hey, wake up.
Oh my God.
I was like, no. I was like, no, dude.
It is funny though how teddy bear like they do look. Like, I mean, they look fake. I mean, it doesn't look like real
There's
hair.
a whole new meaning that the trees are talking, man.
Yeah.
But when I rewatched it this time though, I was like imagining, certain Mandalorian characters have talked about being at Endor. So I'm like, hey, that's where all of them are. So that was fun this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
great trilogy. So
let's, since this is Star Wars related, we're going to keep you on. We're going to hit some letters to the editor real quick. First and foremost, Ian asks that we please talk about how Star Trek is better than Star Wars. Ian, I hope you fall and step on Legos. And number 2, that never. Stacy asks, what is our favorite animal in Star Wars? Wookiees and Ewoks are not allowed.
Oh, I forgot to look this up.
Oh,
Wampa.
Man. I don't know. What do you guys have? Do you have a favorite animal?
I know exactly. I gotta find the
Wampa. Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Okay.
Wampa's badass.
Favorite animals.
Rebels.
Oh, Lord.
Mine are the whales from Rebels. Purgle.
Yeah, those whales that just are very weird.
Oh, I love them. They move like whales. Here, I got a picture of it now.
The flying ones?
They look like squid.
Oh, wait, no, that's Camino.
What
is it? They have a They look like squid, catfish, whale, like a sperm whale. I'm trying to get some more because I felt like I saw other characters in them too, how they moved.
You know
they
what
were
I
really
like?
Cool. I like them.
I like banthas. You know why I like banthas? Because they look like the animal from a never-ending story. And that just makes me think of my childhood, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and say banthas without a doubt. Just for how nice and cute they look, and once again,
like
never-ending stories. Yeah, like they're these horned creatures. They look like almost things from Where the Wild Things Are as well. So if you've read that book as a kid, it's just a lot of fun. And Tusken Raiders, you've kind of earned my respect during Mandalorian. So I'm going to go ahead and say that's my favorite animal. Yes. That's what I meant. Boba. Oof, that was close.
I know. All right, so we all got one.
Yeah, all right. And then next and last but not least, what would be your go-to vehicle in Star Wars? So TIE fighters, pod racers, X-Wings, hybrids. What would be your favorite vehicle?
So this one's hard for me because like with Mando moving to with the Naboo starfighter, he has no room for him and the kid.
Yeah, are you kidding me? Grogu's got the best seat in the house.
We're not going to mention how a bounty hunter has no space for bounties in his ship.
That's also
there
true.
You go.
He
That's
literally
another thing.
Can't. Yeah, that is a very good point. He has no way to bring any of his bounties in, but
he's bringing in everybody cold, chopped into pieces now, I guess.
That's also true.
Yeah, so I picked a Razor Crest because it seemed smart with somebody who has 3 kids. So if I'm traveling the galaxy with my 3 kids and probably my husband as well, I'm going with the Razor Crest because I also know it has a bathroom because that one creepy guy made the excuse that he was going to evacuate whatever the fuck he said, and he was not.
Which one is the Razor Crest?
That's Mando's
first
before
ship.
it got blown up.
Before it got blown up, yeah.
Is it the slave one?
No, it's
that's Boba's.
I have the Lego set. I can show you after, but
okay.
It's the one he has all of season 1.
Right.
And then it gets blown up when Grogu's doing the Rafiki thing.
I'm going to go, I like the U-Wing a lot. It's seen in Rogue One. They got the wings that it kind of extends out. It's what they take onto the planet to go try to save Jyn Erso's dad. That one, I don't know why. I've always liked the design. I guess it's probably one of my favorite Lego builds too, because I have that Lego set. So I feel like that one was one of my favorite ones. And then I want to give an honorable shout out to the TIE Defender, I believe it is called, from Rebels, which is like this indestructible TIE fighter. That thing was kind of cool looking. It was like, the TIE Defender. It's got like all sorts of things going on. And TIE fighters can move pretty fast, and they're always fun to use if you've ever played a Rogue Squadron or anything like that. They're always kind of maneuverable and things to use. So that's my special shout out. But yeah, the U-Wing for me by far.
I do love watching the TIE fighters land, how they look so cool in the air, and then they like bend out and land.
They do.
Really
I like
cool.
their noise. Something about the noise just sounds like, oh yeah, this is sick. And that was probably the highlight of the sequels for me, is like the first time you hear a TIE fighter and, Force Awakens. But
did they say we can't pick Millennium Falcon?
No, you can pick Millennium Falcon.
No.
Yeah, that's the one I'd pick.
There he goes.
That hunk of junk.
Hey. It's like the fastest
take
ship.
The junk.
There was one more question. Cheap seat reviews.
Oh.
So they were the one that asked if we were going to do some of the comparisons. So we already did that. But they also asked, did Ewoks eat dead stormtroopers?
Without a doubt. They were trying to eat Luke, Leia, and Han. Of course they ate dead stormtroopers.
And I think they were only dead after they roasted them on an open fire.
I wanted like a horror movie where they're just like hunting down Rambo style and just cooking these dudes.
Oh my gosh, that would be a great Halloween special.
They're just popping up like surprise with their razor sharp teeth and just mauling.
Surprise, motherfucker, but in Ewokese.
Yeah, right? Like that's what I want right there.
I like it.
That's how I feel. So, Justin, thanks for joining us, man. It's been a good time. Original trilogy, always something great to talk about, right? Always a lot of fun. They mean something to each and every one of us. The Star Wars trilogy does. Go ahead, plug away, and let everyone know where they can find you once more.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. Thanks for not making me do the sequels. Twitter at Horror Wheel, horrorwheelpodcast.com, and Instagram Wheel of Horror. We're everywhere that you can listen to podcasts. New episodes Mondays and Fridays.
Sick. Lauren, do you have any final parting words for us?
Nope. We should be back, like you said, next week with the sequels. And I believe Kevin from Hops and Heroes has a fun theory for us on those sequels, and he should be joining us.
No, there's going to be nothing fun about that. Just know that I'm going to be a ball of hatred for like an hour.
I'm ready for it.
Just know I'm going to be a ball of hatred. So once again, as always, go to Hops News. Kenobi. Once more, go to hopsnews.beer. That's where you can find all of our episodes, find our merch, find our links to articles. Lauren wrote a really great chronological Star Wars article, and that's where you can pretty much find anything that we do there. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you all next week. May the Force be with you.
This has been a Hops News production. You can find Hops News on all your favorite podcasts and social media platforms at Hops News. Cheers.